Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Mary Grace. This is a live episode of Mary Grace TV, and we're coming to you. It's going to be a quick show today. It's been a little while since I've been on. We're kind of on a summer schedule here and a spending time outdoors with dad schedule. So, but we wanted to update you on some important things that are happening, especially with regard to the markets, with gold and silver, with your future. And I got in touch with my friend Andrew Sorchini here at Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange out in California, and he had a little bit of time, so we wanted to jump on and just give you guys a little bit of information about, because so much has been happening. Andrew, welcome to the show. It's always great to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me back. We've seen some changes in the gold and silver prices since we've last talked. It's
Yeah,
been great.
yeah, silver hit a record high. And last time you were here, we talked about banks and about, some of the things that may be happening with banks, including some crashes, right? Some banks like crashing. And I actually have a video that I wanted to show everybody because, when we think about banks crashing, this may not be what we picture, but I just thought this was great. This is a Chase Bank location in Youngstown, Ohio. Just watch, everybody. Here's what happened to this bank. I'm
Wow.
just going to play that again. Oh, yeah. So to be fair, I think it was a controlled demolition. But, when they say the banks are going to crash, this is exactly what we pictured. But I think it's a good metaphor and a jumping off point for our conversation because the truth is, tell us what's going on with our money and people's hard-earned retirements and what they can do about it.
Well, that's an awesome metaphor because I go in the bank like Wells Fargo and Chase Bank all the time. Those are the two banks that we use here for Beverly Hills Precious Metals. And at Wells Fargo, all the banks here in Los Angeles, all the Wells Fargo branches, they used to have like 10 different teller stations.
Yeah.
Now they only have three. They've remodeled them and tried to cover that up by putting drywall over like three on one side and four on another side and keeping the middle three open. And then they'll only have one teller with like five or more people in line. And the people are getting so frustrated. And I'm always smiling, just taking note of everything that's happening. And the conversations that people have is like, oh my gosh, this is the worst service ever. And meanwhile, inside, I just, I keep myself quiet. But really, what the banks are doing is they're making it a big inconvenience to walk into the bank. It's the same thing that the DMV has done. Like the DMV, they don't want you going into the DMV branch either. They want you to do it all online. They want to eliminate the brick and mortar. So that video of the controlled demolition of a Chase Bank branch
Yeah.
is really like that. That's what's going to happen in the future. They're not going to exist anymore as we start to move
Amazing.
into a digital currency.
Interesting. And so, the digital currency has some people scared, but historically we did not have a digital currency, but we've always had people in power who want to be in control of what you do and where you go and how you spend your money. And so that's not new, but we're in a system that now lends itself more toward allowing that to happen if you participate. And so I wanted to ask about gold and silver because you guys do something that is unique and not everybody understands it, but you have such a good way of explaining it. So specifically for people who have retirement savings, for people who have left a job and might have what I would call an orphan 401k that's still tied to that old workplace, and also people who have money in the bank, something that they maybe a big amount that they don't want to lose when things like this happen. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about who's the ideal client to call you guys right now?
Well, really, anybody that wants to diversify with gold and silver can do so right now. Our
Mhm.
minimum order is $2,000. So if
Oh,
you
okay.
feel that you're not funded up well enough to be able to make a large purchase, you don't need to. Like $2,000 is a good amount. I would recommend doing silver with that because you can get a whole lot of it. Like you mentioned earlier, Silver hit an 11-year high recently, and silver's been holding above $30 an ounce now
Yeah.
for a few weeks. So,
Hmm.
so there's a good chance silver could go from right where it's at now to $49 an ounce and
Wow.
hit an all-time high, where gold has also hit an all-time high, has dropped back a little bit, but the metals are taking off. It's our time. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, so that means I think some people feel like, oh gosh, I should have gotten silver when it was $21 an ounce. Yesterday it's 32 and change. And but you just said you're looking at possibly 49, which means that even people who get into silver now, there's still a very good chance that that there's a double or 1.5 times increase, right? So talk about that, because I think sometimes people get paralyzed by the feeling that they missed it.
Oh, absolutely. It's so what you want to do is when you invest in gold or silver, in this scenario, silver, you're not necessarily worried too much about where you're getting in. You're investing in it based on where you think that it's headed. So there's no reason that I have to believe that silver is not going to reach an all-time high. It hit $49 an ounce during the financial crisis in 2011, and it hasn't been near that since then until now. This is the closest. It's at 32 roughly, and we do have a ways to go. But if we can break 49, it could head upwards of 60 or 70. And for people that aren't working with a lot of cash, you might have a way to invest in gold and silver that you're unaware of. You can use an old 401k or an IRA and roll that over into a precious metals IRA and have it be a non-taxable event. So you don't have to call your person at Schwab or wherever and just say, hey, sell everything and send me a check. You don't have to do that. All you need to do is turn it into cash and leave it in that account. Reach out to us either before or after turning it into cash, and we'll explain the process to you. But it's pretty painless. It costs about $250 a year to maintain that account. It's called a self-directed precious metals IRA. And right now would be a good time to do it because we're continuing into an uncertain
Mhm.
time here. We're less than 6 months away from the election, and things are changing in the whole world right now. And
Yeah.
currency is a big thing that is changing as well.
I want to reiterate what you said about that the 401k or IRA, because I think sometimes when people make a transition out of one job into another, they sometimes forget. That's why I call it the orphan 401k, right? They forget that they have that money there, and years can go by and they just don't even realize, unless maybe one day they get a letter from the brokerage firm that's handling it. And that usually happens during transitions, right? But I think if anybody's listening, think about if you've changed jobs, because if you signed up for your employer match at that previous job, there's a good chance that you have an account sitting there that is eligible to roll over, because people always think, oh, I can't touch my 401k. Well, that's your current 401k, right? But the one that's left behind can be moved, correct?
It
Do I have
can
that
be.
right?
You
Okay.
absolutely do. And you are right about people do forget about the 401k. So for me as like the founder of the company, I do see everything that happens here. And I
Mhm.
remember a lot of the names of people that have rolled over retirement accounts into precious metals IRAs. And sometimes I keep seeing the same names come through for new IRA rollovers. And I'm like, how is this possible? Over like 4, 5, 6 years, the
Yeah.
same people are just rolling over more 401ks. Or I get texts all the time. Hey, Andrew, I've got a 401k and a Roth IRA that I would like to roll over. I've previously already done my traditional IRA. And I'm like, wow, they must have forgot about these before. And
Okay.
they realize it's an option and they just want to consolidate. And so a Roth stays with a Roth and a traditional stays with
Right.
a traditional. So if you have both, you can set up each one of them into precious metals IRAs. And if you have multiple Roths or multiple traditional, you can pile all those into a single account for traditional and then a single account for Roth. So,
Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
that's really good. And the other question too, of course, is the housing market is a little crazy right now. A lot of people have, especially our age, they've inherited property, they sell it, but they're not ready to invest in something else. They don't want these high interest rates or whatever it is. They just don't know yet what they want to do with the money, and it's sitting in the bank. Can you talk about that? You've explained a little bit about that before,
Mhm.
but I just think that people need to know what the scenarios are and what the options are for protecting that money until you make a decision.
Oh yeah. So here's an example. Like today, even actually, it started earlier this week. A client of ours that I've dealt with personally, she sent me a text and she goes, "Hey Andrew, I'm ready to do another 75,000." And I asked her, "Do you want to add this to your existing IRA or is this a cash purchase?" And she said, "Oh, this will be a cash purchase where we send the actual gold and silver directly to her." And um,
Okay.
and she said that those were proceeds from a home that she had just sold. She sold the home for considerably more, and she's found other things to do with those remaining dollars. But for people like her that have sold a property that might have 500,000 or 800,000 sitting there, if you've got it in your bank account right now, then you know what I'm talking about. It makes you nervous because you see banks fail, you see banks almost fail, and you're like, geez, what if my bank fails next time? What kind of effect does that have on the 5, 6, 7, 800,000 that I have sitting in my checking or savings account that are the proceeds from that home? You can convert that into gold, which is very, very stable, and just leave it there until you're ready to do something else with it. And when you're ready to buy another home or invest in something else, then you just sell that gold back to us. And here's an example. Like this is just a mind-blowing example, okay? Just looking at my phone real quick. Today, gold is at $2,342 an ounce, okay? I checked online 5 years ago, okay? I wanted to see what the price of gold was 5 years ago. So I'm taking the lower number of where gold was that year, $1,274 for 1 ounce 5 years ago. So that's in like 2019.
Wow.
So it's actually
Yeah.
almost doubled in price. Now let's look at this a different way. I saw an article recently where during the Biden administration that they're saying that according to what that administration reports as far as inflation, that it's officially hit 20%. Okay. We all know it's much higher than that because you look at gas prices and egg prices and car insurance, everything's up more than 20%. But let's pretend for a moment that it is up 20% over 4 years. That means, okay, you've got a dollar bill in one hand, okay? That dollar bill now can only buy 80 cents worth of product, okay,
Okay.
in comparison to 5 years ago. But if you had gold, okay, gold in 5 years has almost doubled. So you've offset what you've lost in buying power due to inflation by
Mhm.
having gold. I know it's kind of like sometimes a far-fetched idea, but that's the reason why people invest in gold. And right now, the big hedge funds are out there doing that too because they know what's coming. They feel that the markets could crash and they want to protect their portfolios as well.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think you've talked about it on the show. I've heard it before that banks are actually buying up physical gold and silver,
Yeah.
and to me, that's a huge wake up call to everybody. I have a question in the chat, Nancy on Facebook. I think this is a good question, so I do want to cover it. Are you buying metals to make money or to protect what you already have?
Well, it's both, but I love that question. Okay. The primary goal is to protect what you have. Okay.
Mhm.
So, like, let's say that you invested in gold today, and let's say by some odd chance, 5 years from now, it's worth exactly the same as what you paid for it today.
Mhm.
Okay. That's perfectly fine because you've put it there as a store of value. It's been safe. It's in physical gold where nobody could have taken your money. Okay. Sure, other things might have done better. Some stocks might have done better, Bitcoin or whatever. But your primary goal is preservation of capital.
Okay.
Secondary is to make money.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, I do want to ask you a little bit about what happens if somebody goes, like if they, they call you, they may be a seasoned investor, but some people aren't. And we talked about rolling over those 401ks. This talk us through a scenario where somebody calls you, they get excited, they're ready to roll over that 401k, or they're ready to go to their bank and have that cash transaction where they're moving the money out of the Chase or the Wells Fargo into precious metals. What does that look like when they go to their broker or their banker, and how can people be prepared for that conversation?
Okay, so I'll walk people through the process from how to make the purchase and what happens every step of the way. It'll be quick. So what you do is you reach out to us through bh-pm.com. There's an online form there where you can put in your name, email address, phone number. Let's say that you want to learn how to roll over a 401k. Then enter that in the notes section. Say that Mary Grace sent you. And we'll see that within 24 hours. We'll respond, and we'll talk to you a little bit about where you're at in your life. For example, a person that's retired might invest differently than somebody that's 45 years old, or maybe a person's about to retire. So we just try to look at every type of scenario and make a recommendation from there. So let's say that you're doing a cash purchase for gold and silver, and we've talked to you about a couple of different products, and you say, yes, I would like to proceed. We'll email you an invoice. Okay. The metals for a cash purchase are shipped directly to you. You store them at home in a safe, or you could put them in a bank deposit box. However, I don't recommend that. Just make sure wherever you put it somewhere safe, and don't tell too many people that you have it. Okay, if you're doing a 401k, we'll help you get that account open. Well, once we send you an invoice and it's time to pay for it, you typically go into the bank and ask them to send a wire transfer. Now, when you do that, just be prepared that right now we're like one of the bank's biggest enemies, because we're out there teaching people that you need to own hard assets that are outside of the centralized banking system, and the banks don't like that. So they'll tell you anything that they can to scare you out of doing this. So since I've last been on an interview with you, Mary, we had somebody that did a $300,000 cash deal, and they went to the bank, and the bank said, we refuse to send this. It's probably fraud. They actually used the word probably. And not only are we vouched for by Mary, but Mary and I have a lot of the same friends out there too. Like General Flynn is somebody who is our company spokesperson. And think about it, like he was the national security advisor for the 45th president of the United States for a little while. Like this guy is like higher than the CIA, and
Yeah.
he's a guy that can, if he says we're good, we've got to be okay. And if at some point we're not, he's going to be the first one to tell everybody, and Mary would let you guys know. But some
Yeah.
bank out there that's trying to wrestle your funds away from us, they're telling you things that scare you, and it puts doubt in your mind. And that's human nature. You're not bad for thinking that. It's just you have to realize that by listening to interviews like this and following people like Mary, you're getting the real news that you can't see in the mainstream. And the way that we fight back is having conviction with what we're doing and proceed with the transaction. So in the example, the lady ended up just sending us a check. We held the check for like 5 days, and the check cleared. We shipped her product. So no, you just have to stick to your guns. But this has been going on for years, but I'm seeing it happen more and more now.
Interesting, interesting. So she was trying to expedite it by going to the bank, and then it just they that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
is it I guess because they'll say it's for liability and for your protection and things like that, right? But
yeah,
it's really because they don't want to lose the cash that they have on hand. Because your
it's
cash
true.
is I mean, they're using your cash to lend out and make money, and that's a little more complicated topic that we don't need to go into, but that's the truth, right? I mean, they're anytime you deposit cash into the bank, they're using it to make money. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Andrew, any parting words today? I know you're on a really tight schedule today, so and I want to just kind of get the last words in here and then let our listeners know again how to contact you.
Yeah. So it's definitely not too late. Yes, metals are finally moving upward. For years we've seen stocks take off, we've seen real estate do well, we've seen cryptocurrency do well. Precious metals, this is our moment. Right now, nothing is doing better. And there's a lot of room to go. Recently, Citigroup has estimated that gold could reach $3,000 by the end of this year, and it's currently just under 2,400. So when we say that gold has a great chance to hit 3,000, what's good for gold is great for silver. So it's not too late. Don't feel like you've missed the boat. At least reach out to us and have a conversation with me or one of my associates.
That's awesome. I love that. What's good for gold is great for silver. I haven't heard that. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's an exciting time. And I think this is something that, in all of the negativity, and there's plenty of opportunities to be downcast and, to look at negatives. But what you're telling us really is a positive. And so, as we say here on the show, don't be scared, be prepared, and be prepared to take advantage of these opportunities because that's what it is. So thank you again, Andrew Sorchini, for being here on the show for this update. It's always great to have an update, and we will see you back soon. And to all of my listeners, we do welcome you to please share this. Please, come back anytime, leave a comment. And because the more you share this, there are people out there who don't know this. They don't know that they have this option. And if you share it with them, send it to them in a message, share it on your page, then they have a chance of seeing it. But if you keep it to yourself, then you never know. You might be talking to a friend that has to go back to work because their retirement account just went in the tank because they weren't prepared. And so give them this opportunity to look at this and make a choice. Thank you again, Andrew, for being here. And we will always, we will see you back here on the channel with our next show. Just keep an eye out and also get on my mailing list and make sure that you don't miss any announcements of future shows. Have a great day, everybody, and we will see you soon. Stick around for my little commercial. Bye, Andrew. Thank you. Listen, your health is your best investment. We have a country to save, and we need people who are in the best shape of their lives, physically, mentally, spiritually. Why not connect with a team who cares about you on every single level from the inside out? Official Synapse is that team. Officialsynapse.com. It's official, SYNAPSE.com. Tell them Mary Grace sent you, and they will treat you like family. If you're like most people, you really probably haven't thought about transferring your paper dollars into physical gold and silver. But I want to tell you a story. My friend Andrew Sorchini over at Beverly Hills Precious Metals, he recently went overseas and he wanted to buy a watch. He likes fine watches. He took 3 currencies with him. He took gold, he took Bitcoin, and he took American dollars. Now, there used to be a time when the American dollar was king. I remember that when I used to travel overseas. Everybody wanted dollars. The people that he was dealing with would not take his dollars because the dollar is so devalued around the world. They wanted the gold. So this is what I recommend to you. I want you to think about this. If you have cash in the bank, if you have an investment account that you have worked hard for years to accumulate, consider the value of converting that money into physical gold and silver. You're not buying something that's losing value. You're changing those worthless dollars into a tangible physical asset that will go up in value, which it has done historically. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to bh-pm.com. The first thing you're going to do is schedule that free consultation. Second thing, just think rationally about this, pray about it, go to the Lord, see what the best decision for you and your family is. I can't tell you that. I don't want to pressure you into that. What I do know is don't be scared, be prepared. And so the third thing you want to do is make a decision for you and your family. Make a decision, take action. bh-pm.com. Let them know Mary Grace sent you. When it comes to food, we really want to be aware of what is in the food that we're consuming. And that includes different types of technologies, jibber jabbers, technology that can alter your genetic makeup. And this is why we want to focus on American grown beef that isn't injected with things that you wouldn't put into your own body. We really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We saw 4 years ago what happened when the whole country shut down and people couldn't even go to the grocery store. We saw what happened when meat and other foods were rationed, and that could happen any day. We want you to be prepared. We want you to take action. And one of the best ways to do that is to secure food for yourself and your family. What better way than to go to griddownchowdown.com, use promo code Mary Grace, get a sustainable, reliable, shelf-stable source of high quality American beef. All you do is go to griddownchowdown.com, tell them Mary Grace sent you, put your order in the basket and check out, and you're good to go. The other thing you can do is you can get a subscription. If you do a subscription, you're going to get this freeze-dried beef delivered to your door every month. And you're going to save a little bit while you do that. You're going to stockpile it, or you can just cook with it. Some people are just using it for their regular cooking. It's really up to you, but it's super convenient because it's freeze-dried and it's shelf-stable for 12, 15 years or more. Go to griddownchowdown.com and use promo code Mary Grace. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who watches this show. Thank you for being a participant. Thank you for being a loyal audience member. I just want to remind you, if you like what you've seen, please share this and don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and also sign up for my email list so you never miss a show.